The boardroom felt smaller than usual as I watched Robert Pace give his PowerPoint presentation. He waved his hands at graphs and numbers, speaking with confidence. I had worked with him for 10 years, but I had never seen him so sure of himself, so certain he was winning. As you can see, he said, adjusting his fancy tie, this company needs strong leadership, traditional leadership, and Alice, despite her efforts, just isn't the right person for the job. My name is Alice Chen. I was 35 years old, and I was watching my brother-in-law try to take my family's company from me. Chen Manufacturing was my father's dream. He built it from nothing into a $200 million business. He passed away 3 months ago, and Robert clearly thought that meant I was weak. I looked around the room. Most board members kept their faces blank. Years in business had taught them how to hide their thoughts. But a few, especially the older ones who knew my father, looked uncomfortable. Robert kept talking, clicking to the next slide. The numbers don't lie. Since Alice became interim CEO, nothing has changed. No new ideas, no growth, just living off her dad's success. The way he said dad made my jaw tighten. Robert had been married to my sister Karen for 15 years, but somehow he thought that made him more important to my father than I was. He pointed to a chart with a downward trend. The Asian market is a big problem. No expansion, no new deals, just the same contracts Dad made years ago. I almost smiled. Robert only focused on what was right in front of him. He never looked deeper. I pulled out my phone and sent a quick message to my assistant, Maya. Time to move forward. Start the sequence. Her reply came instantly. Everything's in place. They won't know what hit them. I put my phone away and turned back to Robert. He was talking about his big plans, expanding aggressively, buying smaller companies, changing the leadership team. The board needs to be realistic, he said. Chen Manufacturing needs someone strong. Someone who understands business today. Someone like me. Silence filled the room. Then Thomas Wong, my father's old friend and the longest-serving board member, spoke. That was quite a presentation, Robert, very ambitious. He turned to me. Alice, would you like to respond? I stood up slowly, smoothing my skirt. Actually, I have a presentation of my own. Please check the tablets in front of you. Robert frowned. He hadn't noticed them being placed there during his speech. This isn't on the agenda. Oh, but it is, I said smoothly. In fact, I've been planning this for a long time. The board members picked up their tablets. The screens showed carefully organized documents, contracts, financial records, partnership agreements. What you're looking at, I explained, is the result of 10 years of expansion into the Asian market, not through risky takeovers, but through smart long-term partnerships. I walked to the front, clicking through slides on the big screen. While Robert was focused on public deals, I was building something stronger, a network of small but important manufacturing partners in Asia. And as of this morning, all of them are officially part of Chen Manufacturing. Robert's face turned pale. That's impossible, he stuttered. I oversee all acquisitions. You oversee public acquisitions, I corrected. These were different. Each deal was made as a joint venture under separate holding companies. Until today, they looked like independent businesses. I pulled up a map showing dozens of new locations now linked to us. Together, these partnerships bring in $300 million a year. They've been growing quietly while you were busy planning your takeover. The board members scrolled through their tablets, murmuring as they realized what this meant. Robert sat frozen, his perfect plan falling apart. But your father, he started. My father, I said calmly, taught me that the loudest person in the room isn't always the smartest. He taught me to plan carefully and always think ahead. I clicked to the next slide, showing a photo that made Robert's face go gray. It was from 10 years ago, my father and me in Singapore, signing the first of many partnership deals. He didn't just know about this strategy, I said. He helped me create it. While you were busy trying to impress him with presentations, he and I were building the real future of Chen Manufacturing. Robert's hands shook as he flipped through the documents, realizing he had already lost. These contracts, they can't be legal. The board never approved. Robert protested. Actually, Thomas Wong interrupted. We did. Each of these partnerships was presented separately over the years, and they all seemed small at the time. But the board approved every single one. He glanced at me with a proud smile. Quite a clever strategy, wouldn't you say? I pulled up another document on the screen showing our new market position. With these partnerships now fully part of Chen Manufacturing, we're not just competing in the Asian market, we're leading it. Our production capacity has tripled, our supply chain is 200% more efficient, and our market reach has grown faster than ever. The board members leaned in, now fully paying attention. Even those who had seemed to support Robert before were looking at the numbers with interest. But the costs, Robert tried again. The costs were minimal, I said, switching to the financial slides. Each partnership was built through profit sharing and gradual investments. We never took on big debts or gave up company shares. In fact, I highlighted a key figure on the screen. A few board members gasped. We now have more cash reserves than at any point in company history. Robert slumped in his chair. His plan to take over was falling apart. But I wasn't finished. There's one more thing, I said. Maya entered the room, handing out folders to the board members. These documents outline a new deal, one that will take Chen Manufacturing from a regional success to a global leader. As the board members opened their folders, Robert made one last attempt. You can't just surprise us with this. There are rules, procedures. Actually, Thomas interrupted again. This proposal was submitted the right way 3 months ago. You even signed off on it, Robert, though I doubt you read past the first page. It looked like a small equipment upgrade for our Kuala Lumpur factory. I pulled up the full proposal on the screen. In reality, it's the key to a major partnership with Takashi Industries in Japan. They've been searching for a manufacturing partner with exactly our skills and network. The boardroom filled with murmurs. Takashi Industries was one of the biggest tech manufacturers in Asia. This deal would put us on a whole new level. The deal is ready to close. All we need now is board approval, I said, and since the initial work was approved 3 months ago, I let my words hang in the air, watching as Robert's face filled with panic. He finally understood. While he had been plotting to take over the company, I had been executing a plan 10 years in the making. Every small decision he ignored, every partnership he dismissed, every document he signed without reading. They had all been pieces of a much bigger strategy. I moved to approve the Takashi partnership, Thomas said. Second, another voice added. Then another. One by one, hands went up in agreement. Robert sat frozen as his dream of controlling Chen Manufacturing slipped away. But I wasn't finished. There's one more matter, I said as Maya handed out another set of documents. A full audit of all of executive decisions and financial transactions from the past 5 years. Robert's face went pale. He knew what was in those documents, proof of his shady dealings. Hidden expenses, fake reports, even fraud. The board should review these carefully, I said. I believe you'll find some serious concerns that need urgent attention. Just as I expected, the fallout was swift. As the board examined the audit, Robert's entire scheme unraveled. This is unbelievable, Thomas said during a special board meeting the next day. He's been planning this takeover for years, misusing company funds, adjusting budgets for his benefit, and keeping records of it all. I added, pulling up more files. He was so sure he'd take over that he never bothered to cover his tracks properly. The board's decision was unanimous. Robert was fired immediately. His company shares were frozen while the investigation continued. That afternoon, security escorted him out of the building, his belongings in a box. From my office window, I watched him load them into his BMW. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister Karen. Is it true? Did Robert really try to steal the company? I had been dreading this conversation. Karen and I had always been close, despite Robert's efforts to drive us apart. I called her. Yes, I said when she picked up. I'm so sorry, Karen. I have proof of everything. There was silence on the other end. Then, to my surprise, she laughed. You know what's funny? I suspected something like this for years. The late nights, the secret calls, the random business trips. I thought he was cheating on me. Are you okay? I asked. Honestly, I'm relieved. I actually filed for divorce last week. Turns out he's been hiding money in offshore accounts. Now I know why. I smiled. Speaking of those accounts, you should have your lawyer call me. I have some information that might help. Because Robert thought he was clever, moving money around in secret. What he didn't realize was that his accounts had crossed paths with my business network in Asia. Every hidden transfer, every shady deal. I had it all documented. The next few months were a turning point for Chen Manufacturing. The Takashi partnership was an incredible success, opening doors we hadn't even imagined. Our stock soared as the media covered our sudden rise in the Asian market. Karen, using the financial records I provided, won her divorce case easily. With Robert out of the picture, she joined the company as our head of international relations. Her talent for negotiation helped strengthen our growing partnerships around the world. One evening, about 6 months after Robert was gone, I was working late when Thomas stopped by. "Your father would be proud," he said, taking a seat. "He always said you had a talent for seeing the bigger picture." I glanced at the photo on my desk, Dad and me in Singapore, smiling at the camera. He taught me well. "Success isn't about being the loudest or the most aggressive," he always said. "It's about being the most prepared." Thomas nodded. "Robert never understood why James spent so much time teaching you about the business. He used to complain about it in board meetings, said it was a waste of time." I laughed. Robert only saw what he wanted to see, a daughter trying to please her father. He never realized Dad was actually training me to lead. "And now look at this company." Thomas gestured to the city lights outside my window. "Your father built something great, but you've taken it to the next level." I thought about all the years I had spent expanding our reach in Asia, the long flights, late nights, and careful relationship building that Robert had ignored. "We're just getting started," I said, pulling up a new presentation on my computer. "Take a look at this." Thomas leaned in, his eyes widening. "South America? You're already planning the next expansion." "I've been planning this for 3 years," I said, showing him the groundwork I had already put in place. "Those equipment upgrades we approved last quarter, they weren't just for efficiency." As I outlined the next phase of Chen Manufacturing's growth, I could almost hear Dad's voice. "Always be 3 steps ahead, Alice. Let them think they know your plan while you're playing a different game." Robert had tried to take over our company, but in the end, his actions only pushed us forward faster. He had wanted control. He hadn't realized I was focused on something much bigger. Later that night, Karen came by with 2 cups of coffee and a knowing look. "The Singapore office just called," she said, sitting down. "They found something interesting." I smiled and grabbed a notepad. Some people thought business was all about power moves and takeovers. But Dad had taught me better. Real success wasn't loud, it was steady, strategic, built step by step. Robert had wanted to be CEO. I was building a legacy, and this was just the beginning. The next morning, as I got ready for a board meeting, I found a note in my father's old desk drawer. "Remember, Alice, the best moves are the ones they never see coming. Not because you hid them, but because they weren't paying attention." I pinned it to my bulletin board right next to our latest growth projections. Chen Manufacturing wasn't just surviving. It was thriving in ways Robert could never have imagined. Because while he had been focused on taking over, I had been focused on the future. That's the thing about real vision. It doesn't need to announce itself. It just unfolds, one step at a time. And by the time people notice, the game has already changed.